So after Chris died, after we went through the funeral and through all that stuff, we got together, a bunch of us. Those of us here, Peter Walls, Darrell Roberts, Frankie, Mark Wentworth, I think Donnie Leach was there, and we brainstormed over beer, probably many beers.
Yeah.
What we could or should do. It was in the middle of May. Commencement was a couple weeks away. We came up with an idea to do a scholarship. And I can remember talking about, if we're gonna do this, let's not do it for a year or two. Let's just make a commitment to do it for a longer term, for a longer term thing.
Yeah, at the time, I remember there was a Joe Kelleher scholarship, because I think he had probably passed away a year or two before Chris. We all knew who Joe Kelleher was.
Mm-hmm.
But it lasted for like 3 or 4 years. And it was gone. And you're right. Right from the beginning, we wanted to say, this needs to be more than 3 or 4 years.
But I remember that once we agreed that we're going to do the scholarship, I don't know which group of us, but I know we said, well, we got to go get Mr. and Mrs. Wells' permission first.
Yeah.
So a couple of us went to the Wells house, told them what we were thinking, kind of made a promise that this is not going to be a short-term thing, and I think that's one of the things for me that's always stayed in the back of my head is it's kind of a promise that we're going to do this for a long time. Yeah. We're not sure how long, but it's not going to be a 1 or 2 year done. They thanked us, said, "You've got our blessings," so we started it, and then we typed in a typewriter, right? We typed letters to all of our friends' parents, the KSC, Jimmy McDonough at the Abington Savings Bank. We did a letter campaign because we had pledged to the high school that we'd make a $500 scholarship, and we were all making like $4.25 in our first post-college jobs.
Where are we going to come up with
it would have been a month's income for each of us. So, but we did that. I still have copies of those letters and then all the people and how much money they gave, and we raised a couple $1,000s and gave $500 to, that's how that first year that, with Matt Burke, who went to Chris's alma mater, Dartmouth, so it was totally appropriate.
I do remember that he went to Dartmouth. That was kind of serendipity, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, and we didn't pick it, so the scholarship committee picked it. So
I think that was a good start. I mean, a good thing from the beginning that we had nothing to do with who was getting it. I like the way that was.
Well, the school always wanted us involved, and we didn't want to be involved with who got it.
Yeah. We listed the criteria, right? Yeah. Academic excellence, athletic prowess, and leadership skills, right? Those were the 3 criteria that they had. And then when we were trying to figure out what do we do for fundraisers after that, it was the parties that we used to go to in high school, Tommy Dion's parties up at the West Abington Hall. We said everybody on Thanksgiving weekend, everybody's home for Thanksgiving, right? So we figured we could get people to play a weekend basketball tournament, and oh my God, those.
That was pretty.
And the dance afterwards with Bop and Buds.
Who arranged the entertainment?
What?
Who put the entertainment?
Wasn't it just a DJ?
I think it was Frank, I think. I think Frank knew him somehow.
Through his dad.
Bop
and Bud Stracuzzi, that's his name.
His dad was involved with the KSC big time, Raymond.
Yeah.
And that was, it was Eddie Bailey, Joe Zagarella, there was Joe Nisby. There was a whole bunch of that whole crowd basically invented the Abington KSC.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a national thing. They were everywhere, but those guys ran the...
I remember after the tournament and before the dance, just sitting up in the locker room, drinking beers.
Well, actually, the scholarship had we wanted to give a scholarship that in Chris's honor, that emulated Chris. He graduated number 4 in his class, so he was outstanding academically and went on to Dartmouth. He was, for the South Shore where we grew up, he was the elite of...
He played varsity everything.
He played varsity everything from a very early age, but he was one of the elite South Shore athletes of his day, of the time that he played sports. And, you know, and along with all that goes leadership skills. And the point was to reward somebody who had lived their high school life as Chris had lived their high school life. So that was kind of that behind it all.
You know, it was all about having fun and raising some money.
So then we
Time
went,
to move on.
so
We lost sight of it.
25 years ago, we started the golf tournament that,
Early 90s, we started the basketball in the early 80s, or basically a decade later. And we wound up with kind of a core of people, including Frank, who was real instrumental when we were doing the golf.
Well, the golf kind of leveled the playing field for everybody too, because it's something that anybody could do. It didn't matter what your age was.
Exactly.
Everyone interested in it. And of course, when Frank had the idea of bringing the comedians on, that just opened the thing up
Yeah,
in a big way.
yeah.
It's really,
It wasn't your average golf tournament anymore.
it was so much fun. And
Yeah.
it's been so much fun.
but I think what happened is Frank, you know, Frank was at the Comedy Connection and he came and he said, hey, Noxie, why don't you come and golf with me at this golf tournament? And then it's like, hey, why don't you do a couple minutes of comedy after the golf? And that's
Yeah,
kind of
it's kinda morphed into it.
What's amazing if you think about it is the amount of guys that have golfed for 25 years, right? Billy Warren and that whole
Joe Capeless.
Joe Capeless is foursome. Scott Sanderson. You know, there's just so many people that have golfed that just come every single year, regardless of what's going on in their life.
Yeah, that really got me when I looked through those old Pembroke pictures. How many people are still showing up?
It's a breach I'll never cover. It's a breach I'll never cover.
We started with the tournament way back at the very beginning with the basketball tournament, and then that transitioned over to the golf tournament, which we used to sit at the hole-in-one, waiting for the guys to hit a hole-in-one, and we actually had, there was a car. They were offering a car for the hole-in-one
In the very beginning.
in the very
Yes.
beginning. And we used to watch the hole-in-ones, and then from there, we kind of just started doing the raffle tickets.
Yeah, we sold lots of raffle tickets.
So I think for me, I came in a little bit later, years after you guys did. And the reason it was important to me is because I actually got to know Chris more in California than I did in high school. And I just think it's important to add that Chris was a scholar, Chris was a great athlete, but Chris was a very kind and compassionate human being. And it's important to know that I think if Chris was here, that he would want everybody to know how much he loved his family. When we were in San Francisco, it was just Chris and I and our friends, and nobody really understood the whole Abington connection. And so we would sit and talk a lot about how important our families were to us, how much we loved our families. And if I can bring anything to the table, it's just how much Chris loved his town, his friends, his family. And it's just been an honor to come in the later stages and work with all the guys and Darlene and Candy who were here from the very beginning.
And Chris Wells to me in high school was like, you know, an idol. He was very popular, and he just was a great student, great athlete. And when he had that accident, it was just very devastating to everyone, you know. And I think it's great that everyone came together and just decided that they were going to do this. And here we are 35 years later, and it just shows how much people really meant, how much he really meant to people. And the same with Frank. He helped out so much also with the tournament for years. So it's just a terrible loss to have him gone too. So I think we're lucky to have known both of them.
I know. And Chris, I mean, the fact that the town loved and adored Chris. I mean, he was voted into the Hall of Fame, Abington Hall of Fame. Just, he's just one of those figures that everybody loved and adored, and he will, for the 4 years that we were in high school, everybody loved him, and he will always be remembered and honored by all the kids from our classes. And Frank, of course. I mean, I'm just looking at this picture over there now, Chris and Frank sitting together, superimposed, but they were best of friends, and Chris and Frank were great friends to all of our class. So we love them forever.
I've knew Chris since, I don't know if it was definitely he was in my first grade class with Miss Hovsepian. So
I was there.
yeah, so we'll just backtrack a little bit. So, you know, the interesting thing about the friendship of this group of people that have been doing the scholarship for 35 years is the fact that, you know, Russ and I have been friends since, 2 or 3 years old in the same neighborhood. Most of us have been together since we were either, in elementary school. People like Frank and Walsey came in from the Catholic, from St. Bridget's and
Came in
high
from
school.
North.
So
I knew Frank. Frank was obviously related to me,
Yeah.
so I knew Peter by default.
Go back a ways.
yeah, so I think that's when you have friendships that last that long, and you have a friend like Chris. I mean, God, we lost a lot of. We're all 60 this
Yeah.
year, and we've lost some of our best friends have been dead for 50. Well, Chris 35 years. Morgie a long time. Frank is what
2010.
2007 years.
Yeah.
4th of
July
July.
5th.
We're sitting on the beach getting the call.
Yeah. But I think as we plan this big event for the 35th annual fundraiser, first of all, it's amazing. I'm not sure any of us, we knew we were committed to doing it for a long time. I'm not sure any of us thought we'd do it for 35 years.
It's fun, but it's work.
Yep.
But it's work for a good thing.
Yep. I got a note from Mr. and Mrs. Wells. I have it. I'm going to let you guys read it. But it's a classic Mr. Wells. Thank you note for to us.
Yep.
Send it to me, but it's to
Yeah.
Chris's friends about just they're so thankful that 35 years that Chris's friends still care and think about him enough to continue to do this, and so we wish we weren't doing it, but
Again, I'm kind of the latecomer here, so I have a unique perspective. Just coming into this situation to watch you guys and see that bonding that took place and what Chris meant. And I knew Chris actually before I knew you guys because he was a member of the Hanover Swim and Tennis Club. That's why I first met him when I was in junior high. He was an amazing tennis player.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. He was pretty good at that too.
He's just good at everything.
Yeah.
So when I saw him in Abington, it was just like, this guy is bigger than life. He's just a fabulous athlete. And fortunately, he just happened to be a great guy at the same time.
Yeah, I was going to say, he was bigger than life, but he didn't
No,
exude that at all.
he was a regular guy, and he just enjoyed the competition, enjoyed having fun, and was a good leader.
The living memory of this man is unbelievable, that his friends is enduring, that they can do this and raise this amount of money in his name is unbelievable. It's unprecedented. I've graduated from another town and I've never seen it.
I agree. I mean, I think all of us here, we did not go to high school with the Abington crew, but we married into it. And I've been married 35 years to one of the best friends, and I was fortunate to have met Chris. Just a wonderful person. I met him on my second date with Dan. And then, of course, Frank was very close to us. He was the best man at my wedding, so I miss him dearly.
Mine too.
No, he was the best man of all of us.
Yeah, he was the professional best man.
Yes. So I think we're very fortunate to have met a group that's so close to this day. I mean, I don't have that from my high school days, so I'm glad I married into it.
And I never met Chris, but I just know of him from all the basketball games, golf tournaments, and I think he would he's looking down and smiling on all this. And Frank, I did get to know, but not as well as most of you, but I'm sure he's also looking down, smiling, and feeling all the love you guys are giving him. So just a wonderful tribute to both of them.
And Chris I've known in the beginning, and he was just a wonderful guy. And he was a good friend of my husband's, and I know that this tournament would mean a lot to him, and I know it means a lot to his family.
I think this is a testament to a very special and a very unique group of people, and I think that the amount of love, respect, support each and every one of us have for one another is it's nothing short of amazing. And so I think that
whenever I go anywhere and say I'm doing something with my high school friends, they're always amazed, like, you're still friends with your high school friends?
Yeah.
And it's just that was a class of 75.
And we're very proud of it.
I'm very lucky. Yes, we are.
Class of 1975, we want to thank everybody for your continued support of the Chris Wells Memorial Scholarship. You guys have been coming out to support this for 35 years. Chris would be so honored that you still remember him, and it's all for the benefit of the kids of Abington. We've raised over $400,000 for scholarships for these kids. It's almost a certainty that we will leave $500,000 to the town, which will provide scholarships in perpetuity for the kids of Abington. So thank you for the support. We look forward to seeing you next year and doing it again. And again, from the class of 75, we certainly appreciate all you've done for us over the years. So again, from the class of 1975, we want to thank everybody for your continued support. It's meant a ton to us. Chris's friends, most of us, since we were in diapers, we know Chris would really appreciate it too. So thank you.